Come on, record. Let's go. Come on, record. Let's go. All right, you guys. All right, so let's get to the study. I want to go over quickly about Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, in chapter number 19. You guys read your Torah portion, right? Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine. Somebody tell me what are some of the things that Lot did that Abraham did that you can remember? What did Lot do that was very comparable to what Abraham had did when he said his visitors? Well, let's go over it. The two Malachim came to Sodom in the evening. They just left Abraham, okay? And when Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom, Lot saw them. He got up to greet them, and he prostrated himself on the ground. In the Hebrew text, it says that he bent down and he fell upon his nose, and he literally gave them that type of honor, like he worshiped them, like he just came down and did that. And the question is, why? What was so different about them that these are visitors that are coming that he would actually identify them to the point of calling them his masters? That's what he called them. In verse number 2, he says, "Here, my masters, please come over to your servant's house, spend the night, wash your feet, get up early, go on your way." And they said, "No," they answered, "we'll stay in the square." Okay. So the visitors, when they came to Abraham, he was sitting at the door of his at the tent door of his tent. Lot is sitting at the gate of Sodom. Okay. They both, when they see them, they get up and they worship him. Actually, Abraham ran to meet them, and he fell down and he worshiped them. So what we're seeing is this idea of something that's germane to our family, or the family of Abraham, where they understood hospitality, which when we get into our later Torah portions, you're going to see this theme of hospitality all the way through this in particular family. So this family from Abraham, including his nephew, has this idea of being very hospitable. Okay, so he's saying, "Hey, you know what? Let's hang out. You come and you stay at my house." So he's not living in a tent; he's living in a house, and that's because he chose to separate himself from Abraham and go his way, and he chose to go to this place. So they said no, but he kept on pressing on them. Okay, he kept pressing them and pressing them and pressing them. So they went with him, and he made a meal, and the meal that he made with them is like what they would call matzah. So he gave them unleavened bread, and they had a whole bunch of wine. This in particular meal that they're calling in the Hebrew is not really a supper. It's really like a festival. He feasted with them. And in different feasts in the Hebrew, you'll see that there's different words there for feast. So the feast that's being used here is not what they would call a chag, a C-H-A-G, which it has to do with our festivals. Okay, so one word for a festival is called a chag, and all these chags that we do with the Creator is a time of festival of us coming and doing, a big deal. Okay, so it's more of a national deal for the nation. The meals and the festivals that these people are having are more or less with people that they're entertaining, and you'll see this also too in chapter number 21, where Abraham had, I think in our Torah portion today, that he had what they call a mishteh. Okay, so there's one called a chag that Yah tells Israel to have, that is mandated by a Moedim, and then here one is called a mishteh. I'm writing with my finger, that's why I'm taking so long. So a mishteh is like a small little dinner arrangement, a feast, and it's of drinking, and it's of, a wine, and it's of celebration, and some different foods, and primarily bread. And so they're having a good time, and they're literally, which you would call doing a mixer or something of that sort. But he says before they could go to bed, so they decided to stay. Okay. But before they could go to bed, the men of the city surrounded the house, the young and the old, everyone from the entire neighborhood of Sodom. Okay. So everybody came and surrounded the house, not just a few people, the whole city came. I'm just trying to paint this picture for you. They surrounded the house all the way from the front door, all the way around, and from the young and to the old. Okay. And they called to Lot, and they said to him, where are the men that came to stay with you tonight? Bring them out to us. We want to have sex with them. The Hebrew word doesn't say sex. It doesn't say sex. Okay. The word that they use for knowing them, okay, but it's implied that it's sexual, but the word that's actually being used is called yada. Okay. And yada does mean some way of a man knowing his wife, right? So it has intimacy, but sexual, for the word sex, though, it's a different word. It's like we want to lay down with them. Okay. So what they're talking about is doing more than sex. Okay. They're literally talking about we want to get to know them. We want to, we want to be intimate with them. Okay. And more than just laying down with them. Okay. And so they called Lot, and he said to him, where are the men? We want to have sex with them. Lot went out to them. So he heard them talking to him. So he went out of the house, and he stood in the doorway, and he's closing the door behind him because, of course, he doesn't want his guests to hear what's being said. And so he said, please, my brothers, don't do such a wicked thing. Don't do this evil. Look, here I have 2 daughters who are virgins. Please let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them whatever seems good to you, but don't do anything to these men since they are a guest in my house. And then they, of course, said this to him. They said, stand back. They replied, this guy came to live here, and now he's decided to play judge. Who does that sound like? Who said these very words from what you understand in the Torah? Has anyone else said this? That who is this guy? Who do you think that you are? That you come here now and you're going to tell us what to do? Who does that sound like?
Wasn't that Moshe? They were talking about.
Yes. They did that to him while he was in Mitzrayim. They did that to him when he was out of Mitzrayim. Okay. So this is what's going on. All right. So you ask yourself, well, why is Yah revealing these things to us? Right. So the story that we've been going over, everyone, because my job is to teach, right? I'm going to try to get you to understand, like every time you have these characters, you got to break down why the creator is telling you about them. Okay. So he'll let you know stuff about their family. He'll let you know what their characters like, because it's always about a character. Right. So all the characters that we have, somebody name some of the characters that we have in our Torah portion so far. Who's the cast?
Abraham, Lot.
Abraham, Lot. Who else?
Yeah. Let's see.
Sarah.
Because Yah is going to talk to us through these people and through their lives. That's the only reason why he has us reading it. He's sharing these stories because he wants us to know what we should be looking for and what to expect. Okay. That's what the goal is. The goal is to get us to see something. Okay. What's the name of the Torah portion?
I'm Sarah. I can't remember.
Right. So, okay, here it is. I'm going to write it down for us. Okay. So, for example, the first one that you mentioned was Abraham, right? You got him. The next one you have is Lot or Lot. Okay. You have Sarah. You got Hagar. Who else? Who else is part of this?
Is Ishmael?
You got Yishmael. Who else? You got Yitzchak. Who else?
Don't you have Lot's daughters as well?
Who?
Lot's daughters.
You got Lot's daughters. Thank you. And guess what? Because you don't think they don't have any names, so we don't call them anything. No, it's his daughters. They're a big part of this. Okay. Why does he not tell us their names? Because it's not important. It's what they did that's important. Who else we have? We got what they got, this guy called Avimelech. And Avimelech is the king of Gagar. He's a Philistine god. Okay. What else we have? You're going to see that there's going to be, you got the Moloch of Yahweh. You got the Malachim of who we have right now. The two that went down there. Okay. You have Yahweh himself. Anybody else?
You have the people of the city who came out.
Yes, good. Now we're thinking. Now we're a family, so we have to have a discussion. We have to talk about it, and we have to bring this out. We have to break this idea that I'm going to keep, I'm preaching to you or I'm running everything. No, we're a family. We have to talk. My job is to get us to think. We got the people of Sodom. Okay. Anyone else? We have the people who are inferred to that spoke some words to Sarah that, that she mentions like, oh, they're going to laugh, they're going to have a good time. So you got some happy people and you got some cruel and, some wackos. Okay. So you got to have all the different cast members. When you read the Torah, you have to understand it, or the scrolls. Okay. You have to get all the people that are part of it so you can put the pieces together. This is what Yah is trying to let us know. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've already talked a little bit about Sarai. We talked about her name. We're talking about Lot a little bit, what he did, his hospitality and so forth. We also going to see about his character, what he does. We found out about Abraham. We're going to continue to follow about him. We're going to find out some things about Avimelech and what he did. Let's not forget about Avimelech's what? Let's find about Avimelech's household. They were connected to him, which is his wife or wives, and we also have talking about his servants and his maid servants. You see? So there's a whole bunch of things that Yah is telling us. He doesn't want us just to look at the stories of like, okay, well, Yah went and destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because he was angry at them. That's not what reading this is all about. That's the crescendo. That's the grand finale. But Yah wants us to look at how things are happening. Okay. The name of our Torah portion is called what? Genesis chapter number 18. Is that what we're going to say? The reason why I'm asking you this, everyone, is because I love you and I want you to know what it is that the Creator is looking for, what he wants you to remember. The name of the Torah portion, okay, let me put it right here, is called Wayera. It's not a V, it's this, okay, and it's W-A-I, and then era, okay? What does Wayera mean? You guys know? Wa means
and he appeared.
Yes, and he appeared. Okay. Who appeared?
Yahweh.
Thank you. You might ask yourself, well, why is this important for me to know? Because Yahweh is showing us how he appears and why he appears. So now looking at it, he's appeared on several occasions. Tell me a couple times that he showed up and why. Why did he appear?
Well, I know he showed up to the tent where Abraham was.
Yes. And he went and he had a meal with him, right?
Yes,
he
did.
Came and he showed up to Abraham. So because Abraham said the only reason why you passed by here is simply because you wanted to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to come past my way. All right. Now that
Yeah.
you've done this, you appeared to me because number one, you wanted to. And yeah, and that's the first time that Avram called Yahweh his master. This is the first time Yah has had what they would call a human being identify him as his master. Okay. So Yah appeared to him. All right. So the master appears to his servant. Okay. And the Adon that we went over is a Lord. Okay. Or a master. And one who what? What does a master do, everyone? What does a master do? He rules. And we found out that an Adon, A-D-O-N, these two letters right here, a noon and a dalet, had to do with the door of life. The door of life is to make sure that whoever the master is, they're coming in order to restore life. So why did the master come to see? What did he come to see?
He had actually come to see if the sin of Sodom was as bad as he heard.
Is it as bad as I heard it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because he said what came up to his ears.
I think it was the cries.
Yes, somebody's been reading. It is a cry. A cry came to the Creator. Now, I want to ask you a question, because this is what we're here for, is to learn. So a cry came out to the Creator, okay? A cry. And what kind of cry? Was it a cry of I need your help? Was it, what kind of cry was it? From what you understand so far?
I'd say it's a cry of desperation.
Okay, so we got desperation. What else did we have? Anyone else?
I would say not just desperation, but like you said, help.
Yes, a cry for help. What else?
Confusion as well.
Huh?
Cry of confusion.
Confusion. Okay. What else do we have? Help, confusion. And this cry was coming from where? Where was it coming from?
I feel like it was coming from the land.
Yes, it was coming from the land, Dr. Yared, because Sodom is not the only place that he went to, or he was going to destroy. There was Amorah. They call it Gomorrah, but it's really Amorah. I put aroma. Amorah. Okay. And it was like 5 cities. So there was a whole bunch of surrounding cities, not just these two. He just mentions these two. But then everything went down in this one right here. Okay. So the cry, as Dr. Yared has said, is coming from the land. Not so specifically from Sodom only, not from just Amorah, but all over, down in that region, down in that area. Okay, so we got that. Question for you is this: who made the cry? Now we know a cry was happening, but who made the cry? Dr. Red had gave the answer. Who's crying?
The land is.
The land is crying. Because we just read that the whole entire city surrounded the house. Remember, Abraham said, he said, if you find 50 righteous, would you destroy the city? I know you're not going to judge. Remember, he opens it up with the Most High and he says, I know that you're a righteous judge. I know that. Okay. So let's get our minds in the right place so we can understand what Yah is trying to have us, what? Wayera. He said, I appeared. Why am I appearing? Because the word Wayera, everyone, I got to erase all this because it'll keep popping up. I write a lot. The word Wayera has to do with the word Re'eh, and Re'eh, which is R-E-E-H, okay, has to do with to see, okay? It means to see. So if you look at right here, this word, this is what it says. Okay, Wayera. Okay, so if I was to look at it and break it down, it'd be Re'eh, and Re'eh means to see. Okay, so and he appeared. They're using as he appeared to him, right? But the root of the word means to see. Okay, so Yah came there to see. That's the purpose of this in particular weekly portion, is for us to see something. Yah wants us to see something. Okay, he wants us to open our eyes. That word is used. It's used a lot. Okay, it's used a lot. So when I look at the Torah portion, everyone, I'm looking to see how many times did the Creator use this word, and when does he say that he saw something, or when is he using it? Is he using it all the time? Because it has many meanings. Just like the letter bet doesn't mean only in, it can mean with. It can also mean outside. It also can mean against. It can mean a whole bunch of different things. But if you and I don't understand that, we're going to be lost. We're not going to know. We're going to just be only like what they call it, one-dimensional in a sense. We're only going to see things from one perspective. Like, okay. So here, 72 is ra'ah. They got ra'ah there. Okay. Ra'ah. So it means to see. And the number is 7,200. All right. So when I look at this, and I'm trying to get you to understand, when we see these words like to see, here it is. Behold, here it is again. So the first sentence it had it, here it is again. Here it is again. Okay. So that's what I do when I'm looking for this. And then everything around seeing something is what you want to be looking for. So what do you use to see things with?
Your eyes.
You use your eyes. So what you're going to find in the Torah portion this week, you're going to find that somebody saw something with their eyes. You understand? So if we start looking at how things function, then you and I will better understand what's written. A lot of times we're just like, we're only going to look at it and we'll just go right over and this is what it says and we'll move on. But it's not how it works. Okay. So what was my point? Oh, here it is. I want to bring out the point what Abraham said. Okay. And this is from his perspective. So in 22, the men turned away from there, 2 of them, and went to Sodom, but Abraham remained what? Standing before Yahweh. Abraham approached and he said, will you actually sweep away the righteous with the wicked? That's the question. Okay. So the righteous is the focal point, right? Were you going to get rid of the righteous with the wicked? Maybe there are 50 righteous people in the city. Will you actually sweep the place away and not forgive it for the sake of 50 righteous who are there? So is he looking to spare the righteous, or is he looking to spare the city from what he just said?
He's looking to spare the city if they're a number 2.
Yes. So in our Torah portion, he wants us to see that Abraham is literally looking out. He's using the righteous in order to save and have the city forgiven for the sake of the righteous. He's actually asking Yah not to sweep the place away if you find these people in it. Okay. Because he says, far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous along with the wicked. Yah wants us to see that too. Yah is not going to destroy the righteous along with the wicked. Okay. So that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Yah has a clear distinction between the two. The righteous and the wicked will never be treated the same. Okay. Who are the righteous?
The Torah.
Those are the people that keep the Torah. And to keep the Torah is to do what with the Torah? Guard it. That's keeping the Torah. When you guard it and you guard against everything that's against the Torah, who are the wicked?
The people who don't guard it.
The people who don't guard it. So the righteous are the ones who do, and the wicked are the ones who don't. That's the truth. Okay. And they are not going to be treated alike. Period. And that bothers us. Okay. Yah is the judge. And here he doesn't call him the Adon of all the earth. He calls him the Shafat. He's the Shafat, or the Shafat of the whole entire earth. This in particular judgment is not an intercession, doing an interceding. This one is not to rule, to continue to bring life. This Shofet here is to punish for crimes and that which is wrong. Okay. So he's looking to spare the city for the sake of that which is right. You understand? So instead of Yah destroying the city, he's looking for a way. And why is Abraham doing this? Somebody tell me.
Well, is he doing it because his nephew Lot was there?
Did he ever mention Lot to Yah during this whole conversation?
No, he didn't.
He didn't. That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In chapter number 19, it says Yah delivered Lot. Why? For whose sake?
For Abraham.
He delivered him for Abraham's sake. He wasn't delivered because he was like, 100. He was like, Yah said he delivered him, and he thought about him because of Abraham. To answer the question I posed was that Yah has given Abraham the responsibility of being the father of many nations. Abraham was hospitable. Abraham was a teacher of this monotheistic idea of there being one God. This is the type of man he was. He understood. Who else has said, well, can I stand in the gap? Who else did that? For the people of Israel. Who did that?
Moshe.
Moshe did. He was willing to say, hey, blot me out. Right? So you can see this idea that, okay, you can see that our father took his role when he was told you're going to be the father of many nations and the nations are going to bless themselves in you. He's looking for a way to get them spared. Not so they can continue in their wickedness, but also that they might have an opportunity to be influenced, because he's an influencer. This is why he kept staying. He had this conversation with Yah the whole time. He never mentions his family. He never mentions Lot. Not one time did he say, hey, would you do it for Lot? He didn't do it. He told Yah, and Yah wants us to understand something too, that you and I are nothing but dust and ashes. And when we speak to Yah, this is what I need you to remember. He asked him, he said, hey, listen, don't be mad with me. You're my master. Please, look, he says, look, I hope Yahweh won't be angry if I speak. Because he said, I am nothing but dust and ashes. He knew he didn't have a right to say nothing to the Creator. So if you and I, we could take from this, if we would go to Yah and we would say what the truth about ourselves, and we would say that I'm dust and ashes, and I really don't have a right to speak to you. He wasn't arrogant, okay? He wasn't saying, I'm the father of many nations. I'm going to start popping off at the mouth and tell you how wonderful I am. And you made me the father of all nations and so forth. And you've given me all this land, and I'm living among the people that you've already given their land to me. They're not even up on what you did. Okay. But let me tell you why Sodom and Gomorrah and all those other places were destroyed in the last few moments that we have together. We were taught in our Christian walk and through our lives that Yah destroyed this place because they were, sodomizing each other, which is probably true. But we only thought that was the only reason. We thought it was because of sex, right? This is deeper than sex. The land was calling out to Yah. There was nobody in that land, according to what we've read in 19. Everybody from the youngest to the oldest surrounded the whole entire house. The whole people were contaminated. They were ruined. Okay. Yah said, I want it before I execute it. I want to give an eyewitness to it. So I need you guys to go down there and see it for yourselves. And so how many people did he send?
He sent it to Malach.
Why two? Somebody tell me. Why
To
two?
his witness, to his witness.
Two is a witness. You can't just have one person. He says, I need to send two. Okay. This is found in chapter number 16 of the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1646. Context, Yah's talking about his people. And listen what he says. Moreover, your older sister is Shamaron. He's talking to the land, of course, and the people, the occupants. Now listen to this. Your older sister is Shamaron. You guys know who Shamaron is? Who's Shamaron? It's the land that's north. It's northern Israel. Okay? That's northern Israel to the north. Who lives at your left? If you look at a map, if you're facing east and you look to the left, she'd be at the north. Okay? She and her daughters, which are the other little towns and cities. Okay? And your younger sister living at your right is Sodom. Okay? So he's talking to the land, which we had a discussion of a couple of like 2 Shabbats ago, where the Koti Azania had asked, well, I thought he was talking to the people here, and I thought he was telling us that your mother was a Kiti and your father was an Imri. He's talking to the land, and more specifically, he's talking to the land of Yavusi, okay, which is Yavusi. He's talking to Jerusalem, okay. That's what the name of Jerusalem really was before, okay? Yerushalayim. I don't know how to spell it anymore, okay? So, but your daughter is, your younger sister is at your right, and Sodom with her daughters. Her daughters are the surrounding cities that Yah went to go destroy. He says, you didn't merely live by their ways and act according to their disgusting practices, okay? Not only did you do that, but in a very short time, you acted more corruptly than they in all your ways. Okay. Yes. Okay. As I live, says the Supreme Master Yahweh, your sister Sodom has not done, neither she nor her daughters, as much evil as you have done, you and your daughters. Okay. The crimes of your sister Sodom were pride, gluttony. Okay. Pride and gluttony. You hear this? She and her daughters were careless and complacent, so that they did nothing to help the poor and the needy. Dr. Yared, you were 100% absolutely correct. It was the land that was calling out to Yah, because the people that were living in the lands around them, even people who traveled through there, were being mistreated. You understand? These people didn't go out just for, having sexual intercourse, okay, with men and all this sort of thing that you and I have been told to keep the story going so it look really nasty. Is talking about the other nasty things that they did. Yah considers these disgusting practices, okay? And the disgusting practices that he says and the evil that they did, okay, is pride, gluttony, okay? This pride right here means to be swollen. Am I swollen? I'm not spelling right. To be puffed up. Okay? To rise. If you rise and you don't have no support, then you're fake and you're false. See, the puffiness of and this is why Yah doesn't like that puffy bread. That's why he likes the matzah, because with the matzah or the matzot bread that you get is unleavened, and it's a real bread. It's for real. Every part of that substance that you intake, you're getting the benefit of it. When you have something that's puffed up, you're not getting the real. You're not getting the 100, okay? So the pride and the gluttony, this overeating, this continual partying, this continual, we're going to do what we want to do. She and her daughters, this was rubbing off onto all of them. They were careless and they were complacent. So if you want to understand why Yah has destroyed this place, these are the reasons. Okay. Did he mention anything about sodomizing anybody? No. He didn't mention that. He mentioned pride, gluttony, being careless, and being complacent. I was going to save this for Shabbat, but he don't want me to save it. He want me to tell you where it is, that this is the problem. Okay. The carelessness here is that, what does it mean to be careless? I'll let you define that. What does careless mean? I know it's less care, but what does it mean to be careless? What's he talking about?
Careless with the Torah, careless with not.
I'm going to tell you what it is. They didn't believe that there were going to be consequences for their actions. They thought the Yahweh doesn't see what we're doing. The question is always asked, does Yahweh see? And the answer to that is the one who maketh the eye. Do you think he can't see? They didn't think that he would hear what they were doing. Yah has been telling us from day number one, I see you. I hear what you're saying. I know who you are. I can hear even your thoughts. If you said like Sarah, she laughed within herself and she had a conversation about, I'm too old and okay, really? Yeah. Okay. That's how she was saying it. And then when it was brought to her attention, then fear came upon her because then she recognized and realized, oh, wait a minute. This ain't no man. This is Elohim. You see? So this carelessness is something that you and I need to be careful about. Complacency, okay, is huge, especially for a person who's been getting away with this and thinking there are no consequences. They didn't even help the poor and the needy. And as a result, when you don't help the poor and the needy, then guess what? The actual fabric or the continuity of the community fails. And as a result of this, people throw up their hands and say, why should I care? I'm complacent. Things are going to always be the same. It's not a big deal. Let's keep the party going. Finally, what did he say? They were arrogant. And committed disgusting acts before me. So that when I saw, meaning see, ra'eh, or ra'ah, ra'eh, same thing. One is a verb, one is an action. Okay, I mean a noun. I did what? I swept them away. I hear it and I saw it. And based on that, because of how arrogant they are, they literally thought I was going to let them go. What Abraham didn't recognize or realize is that there weren't even 10. And if Lot was righteous, it wasn't enough to spare all of them in that place. But Yah did spare a city. And why did he spare that city? Somebody tell me. And who and why? You guys know?
He spared Lot and his family.
He spared Lot and his family, and Lot and them said, hey, you've already brought us out. I can't make it. He said, run for your lives. Go to the hills. He said, no, I can't make it. What if something happens? Like, maybe I'll fall and hurt myself or trip in my ankle or my wife or whatever, right? Let us go to this city right here. It's a small city. Let us go. A small city. So what are you and I to understand from this? I'm going to tell you what you should understand from this. There is a level, okay, of righteousness that is required in order to spare somebody. Do you understand? This is why Abraham said 50? No. How about 45? Then he realized, wait a minute, I only have a certain amount of times that I can ask for anything or even have this conversation. So I want to, take advantage of this because he spoke to him 6 times. Okay. So he went from 50 to 45, went from 45 to 40, went from 40 to 30. He jumps. Instead of going 5 now, he goes down to 10. He goes from 40 to 30, from 30 to 20, and from 20 to 10. You see? So Lot gets a city spared, and he's just one person. You see? His daughters, you can't count them, because we saw what their actions were. All right. Of course, they were doing the best that they knew how, but it was not, it was something that you and I need to understand. If you didn't know this, I want to tell you that Lot's daughters did that because they believed that the world was being destroyed. That destruction must have been so terrible that that's what they thought. And he actually thought it too. And the text has said that he was afraid. He was still afraid. He didn't even want to live in the city he was, because he's like, man, they just got, he was messed up mentally. Okay. He got mentally messed up. But his daughters end up getting him drunk, and he had this idea that, hey, you know what? We got to do what we got to do in order to make sure that we have descendants, because, if we don't do this, then it's over. We could only be the only people. So what they did was the older sister convinced the younger sister, this is what we need to do. If you notice, they laid down with their father, and they both bare seed to him. And this is where you get the family of Moab and Ammon. Okay. So here's Moab. Okay. So the older one, she gave birth to the son called Moab. And the younger one gave birth to a son, and his name is called Ben-Ami. Okay, not the guy that's over in the land of Dimona, that was in the land of Dimona. Okay, which that is the progenitor of the ancestors of the people which they call Ammon today, and Ammon today is modern day Jordan. Okay, that's modern day Jordan. So that's where their names come from. But let me explain to you what these names mean. Okay, Moab. So you know what Av is. So what's Av?
Father.
There you go. And Mo means, here's the Amim. So what's Amim? What does that mean from a preposition? What is that?
From.
Is it to, or is it for? Is it from? Is it with? What is it?
Is it from?
Yes, it has water. Because a mem is water, and a water means I need to go from my tent to the water. So you're absolutely 100% correct. It's from, okay? And that little O right there, and you haven't got to our verb class yet, that's in that part, but it talks about presently, okay? So from my father, okay? That's what his name means. That's why she named him that. So Moab's name means from my father. That's what his name is. From my father. The younger one gave her son the name of Ben-Ami. Okay. What is Bain? Is it a son or is it a daughter?
Son.
It's a son.
Yeah. And is what? Is it people or is it
People.
okay. So, and then the little me on the end there, I is my. So it's son of my people. That's what his name means. Okay, son of my people. You see, because and as you can see that the names of the son that they had was because they literally believed that this was going to be it for them. So that's why they had their sons. Okay, and even in their names, you can see that was on their mind. Right? We got to continue our father. So that's from my father, and this one has been on me. Which is incest. Okay. So in this, you see the reason why the creator says that these individuals can't come and stand in his presence for a certain amount of time. Okay. Because they're born out of incest. Okay. And if you notice that, again, this has to do with someone getting drunk with wine, and then all of a sudden they're taken advantage of. And a few Torah portions ago, was there somebody else who drank some wine and somebody took advantage of somebody? You guys remember what that was about?
Yeah, that was Noah and Ham.
Yeah, Noah and Ham. Yeah, and he took advantage of his mother, you see? So this wine and this whole thing like that, that's how people get fueled. You know what I mean? Be careful. Be careful, you see. But what Yah is showing us is that there's more to the story than what you and I have been told. My goal and desire is to bring these things out so we can look at it differently with different eyes. He wants us to see some things. Okay. So he's going to show us more things on Shabbat. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but from what I'm seeing so far, he's like showing us stuff, and he's showing us character traits, and he's showing us how I'm letting you know what I'm going to deal with. So if I destroyed these people and I wiped them and I swept them off the face of the earth, and they didn't do as bad as you did, okay, literally, right? And I got them like that, okay. Do you think I'm being unjust or unfair because I haven't got to you yet? I haven't done what I wanted to do to you simply because it's not that I'm not going to do it. It means that it's not the right time. Okay. There's a time, everyone, that Yah says that there's a certain amount of sin that has to happen. Okay. Before I get to you. Right. So here, and this is the way that Yah operates. Okay. And I'm going to prove it in one more area for you before you leave. Is in chapter number 15. I want you to remember this. Because if you remember this, you'll know, okay, well, God, this is how he works. So you won't make any excuses for the wicked, and you would actually separate yourself from them, okay? Because you would know if I follow their ways or if I'm encouraged by them, then it might be bad for me. There's coming a time, I didn't put this in here for us to tell us what it is about Sodom and Gomorrah and all the other surrounding cities. What he's telling us is this: I'm going to do something at a certain time. Okay, and it's going to be with fury. What he says here is this, and they call the 400-year prophecy. He says that, look, know for certain, in verse number 13, your descendants will be foreigners in a land that is not theirs. They will be slaves and held in oppression for 400 years. But I will also judge that nation, the one that makes them slaves. Afterwards, they will leave with many possessions. As for you, you will join your ancestors in peace. He's talking to Abraham, and be buried at a good old age. This is why you need to read it carefully. In the fourth generation, your descendants will come back here, because only then will the Imri be ripe for punishment. So Yah puts a timetable on when he's going to punish these people of that land, of the Imri. You see? So you could take from this and say, right now we haven't seen punishment for, people who have turned us into slaves. We should understand that, number one, we did go through what they're going through. We will leave with many possessions. But there's a punishment that will be coming. But the idea is there's a time. There's a ripening of punishment. So Sodom did get punished immediately. Nineveh did get punished immediately. Yah even went there and spared them because they repented, but afterwards he ended up destroying them. So what we find is that every nation and every person who is dealing with the Creator, they have to understand that Yah has a limit. Yes, Koti.
Do you think it's because Yah didn't destroy them right away that they felt he didn't see it so they could go on?
Yes. Remember, we read in Ezekiel, that's exactly correct, where he says that they were complacent and they were arrogant because they felt like, well, nothing's going to happen. Yah doesn't see. Ain't nothing going to happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what our people are thinking. Our people think Yah's not going to do anything to them. My Hebristian pastor friend called me and said, you put a video out and said that Yah's going to kill me. And I said, yeah, I did. And he said, okay. I was like, yeah, he is. He's going to kill you because you're a rebel. You see, and you got to be able to tell people that, and whether they like it or don't like it, doesn't matter, because Ezekiel, the Creator, tells us, if I told you to tell somebody I'm going to kill him and you don't tell them that, I'm going to hold you responsible. So what is it that you and I need to understand? We need to understand there's a time frame. There's a certain amount of a level of patience that Yah has. There's only a certain level before that cry comes up. And you and I don't know when that time is. Because you might ask yourself today, well, why is he allowing the stuff that he's allowing right now? Why hasn't he stepped in? This one of the themes in the book of Psalms is how long How long, Yahweh, are you going to allow this to happen? How long are you going to let your people go through this? How long? Yah has a certain time. And when he's fed up, and he's letting us know, if I let you know what it is, I'll let you know what it is. But what you do need to be watching for is seeing what's going on. So you and I should know the judgment is near and that it's coming ripe, because people are doing some outlandish things. People are doing things that have never been seen before. People are running into stores and taking everything, and people are allowing them. There's no justice, not for even for our people. There's no justice for a lot of people. Look what's happening. They're teaching now in schools that, homosexuality is okay. Transgender, is okay. Kill as many kids as you want, doesn't matter. And you think that they allow that, but then behind the scenes, they're not telling you about all the pedophile stuff that's going on. They're not talking about the human trafficking that's going on. They're not telling you about the theft and the robbery of people taking of their homes and all kind of stuff, and their jobs, and destroying them. They're not talking about that. There's a lot of stuff you and I don't see, but this nation and this world has gotten complacent. And that's why Yah has mentioned this story. So you and I can see what's coming. Hallelujah. 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 And we're going to continue to stay on this path and continue to talk about these things, because that is something he wants us to understand. Okay. And he's going to show us more, and he's going to open our eyes. So for the rest of the week, ask the creator of the heavens and the earth to open your eyes. Show me more. Show me some things that I haven't seen before. Don't let me look at this as a Sunday school lesson anymore. I'm not in that no more. I'm in something different. I want to walk with you. He said, you want to walk with me? Yeah, I want to walk with you. If I'm going to walk with you, I want my eyes open. I want to see. So I can make the changes, so I won't be prideful and arrogant and complacent. See, because that is disgusting to him. Oh, did they have the Torah? No. They didn't have the Torah, did they? So what was he expecting from them? Did they know the difference between good and evil and wrong? You see?
I think so.
Yes, they're supposed to know. You don't think they knew about the story about the flood and all that? You know what it is? They didn't care anymore. We are doing what we like to do, and we're going to keep doing it as long as we want to do it. But there's a cost.